The leaves are like dollar bills, y'all. They're big. Hey everyone, my name is Alex with the Best Gardens DIY. Sorry it's dark out, and that's kind of how these projects go a lot of times. Today I'm going to do a quick run through of how you can propagate a lot of different species of plants with just a cutting, which is exciting because you can't always find the seed and you can't always afford to buy the plant. So if you can find somebody who has the plant you desire, you can just take a cutting and you can you can sprout root growth from a cutting. Now it's not going to be as natural or true of a plant as it would be from seed, but sometimes they actually grow faster from cutting, but sometimes it also shortens their life expectancy from cutting. Big old waxy leaves. I gotta get all these leaves out of my truck. So when I cut them all off, it just kind of went everywhere. But it is a great way, especially if you're trying to get a desired fruit, something specific. If you found one tree out of your whole orchard that has the sweetest fruit, then you can take a cutting and have an identical clone of that plant. Or if you found one tree that is growing way better in your environment, you can take a cutting of that species or that specimen and actually grow that exact specimen genetically and have a better plant that way. So that's what I'm doing. I'm getting all these leaves out real quick. See them dollar bills, make it rain. All right, cool. So I'm gonna do several different types, and this is gonna be partially an experiment and partially just some proven methods. First thing I recommend for cuttings to ensure root growth is rooting powder. Roottone rooting powder. This is from a company called Bone Tone. It's rooting powder. I got this at Home Depot. It's just a white powder that you'll put on the cuts. So the experiment, let me show you the species we're gonna work on. This one here is actually a protected endangered species that I had to dig up because they're gonna put a shed in, and it's a Pawpaw Tree. It's record heat, y'all. It's 97 today. It hasn't been this hot since it's been like 50 years. But so you'll need a knife, the rooting powder, some soil or substrate, or whatever medium you like to use to do your cuttings in, or what you know is proven to work for the cuttings you're working on. But what I really think is cool is this is a Guanacast tree right here. Guanacast is also known as the earlobe tree. It is Intralobium cyclocarpum, and it's a really cool species. It's the state or the tree of Costa Rica, and there is actually a territory in Costa Rica that is called Guanacast. A lot of cool videos on those, and they get massive, which is really cool because I need some shade here. 97-degree weather doesn't feel too good without trees. Y'all may know I live in a field that was planted pines, and it needs some trees because there's nothing. We live in a desert basically. This here is called Emerald Viburnum. It's also Awabuki Viburnum. It is a very waxy leafed viburnum, and this was growing very well, and I've already pruned all of the leaves off. It had way more leaves than this. I actually pruned all the leaves off down to just the new sprouting buds, and we're going to do a few grafts of that. So those are 3 species I'm working with, and I did want to show you all this sassafras I was able to get. Now sassafras is what they make root beer out of. It has a very deep root, a large root system, and they shoot new growth off of roots. It can be hard to get sassafras because of that issue with roots being so deep. They go way down, and I pulled this out and I thought I killed it, because if you sever a main root on a lot of plants, that can be terminal. So I had a large root. It was a bifurcated sassafras. This is the other half of that, and this half had less roots left than this half did. It bifurcated way down below the soil, and the half with the more roots actually has regenerated new foliage, which I'm super excited. That usually means that this one's going to be okay. But what's even cooler than that is that I didn't use any rooting compound for this. No roottone, no rooting powder. But what I did do, a major tip, is you keep these in water. You can see the water level where it's darker brown down here. It started out in that much water. The root wasn't submerged in water, but it had all of the substrate up here, and because the soil stayed moist, it was able to not dry out so fast. But it's been so hot. Like this right here had a decent root on it, and it's been in water the whole time, and it has already wilted severely. So I'm really hopeful that the Pawpaw Tree will make it, but it may not. So let's get down to business. Let's go ahead and propagate some plants. This is a large Awabuki Viburnum. I have more specimens than I actually want to work with. This is a very a a new growth. This is all 1 year. This is this year right here. And I'm going to use this one because this is last year's. You can already see the bark is set in on this one compared to this one. I want to use the fresh green growth. It's going to be more vigorous and more likely to take root than it would be from last year's growth. So what you want to do is you want to sever the piece at an angle, and you want to kind of go with size that the tree can support. If you try to do this whole piece as a cutting and root it, chances are it's probably going to decay before it actually is able to close off the wound at the bottom, and you probably won't have much luck. So I recommend just using a single sprout. Don't try to go with a multi-stem like this, and you'll just take a piece, and you don't want to go too big. You do want to get off most of the leaves, leaving a very small leaf. This was a large leaf, and I actually clipped it to make it a small leaf. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to slice it at an angle. You won't be able to see this part probably, but I'll slice at an angle. I'll show you once I'm done. Right there. Okay, so that is it at an angle. See, it's sharper than a 45-degree angle. It's probably like a 60-degree angle or something. And those are just the leaf stems that are left over. I didn't want to do too much of that. Now the bud on this one doesn't look 100%, so let me actually just make sure I don't have a better looking bud. Like this second year's growth stem has way better buds on it, honestly, and I'll try both. How about that? Now I'm going to take this angled cut and I'm going to dip it in my rooting powder, just like this. It's just a white powder, almost looks like baby powder or baking soda. I'm going to dip it in there real good. It'll cover it completely. Then I'm just going to stick this into the soil, and then hopefully this will generate roots. So I'm going to do this many cuttings. So I'm going to do one with the rooting powder that was this year's growth, and we're going to do one that has some of last year's growth on it, because it actually has the better looking leaves on it. So I'm going to do that, and that'll be a true test if what I say is even true. We'll be able to do that, and I will post a video, and I'll post it at the end of this video. It'll be a click. You can click through, and let me go ahead and dip that one in rooting powder for last year's growth. Right there. All right, that one's dipped in the rooting powder, and I'm going to mark that with this tag so I can recall the video as to this one was done with last year's growth, not this year's growth. The one with the tag had last year's growth. That'll be something I can recall. So that's 2 Awabuki viburnums. Let's do a third one, and let's not do any rooting powder at all. And let's try to pick the best looking stem and just see if that makes a difference also. So this one has a very nice, young, vigorous green stem on it. And let's go with, I'm going to go right below these two nice dormant buds right here. And let's see if that's going to be one that will grow, if Awabuki viburnum will grow without rooting compound or rooting powder. So that's it, no rooting powder. That's 3 Awabuki viburnums, call it good on that. Now I want to do the same 3 experiments here with the Interlobium strichocarpum or the Gonocash tree. So I do want to, because I'm actually going to do 3 different experiments. They're going to be different than the Awabuki. I'm going to do one with rooting powder, one without rooting powder, and I'm going to plant this whole log in the ground and bury it all the way up to the base of these stems where they generate out of this. And I'm going to take a few of the sprouts off in order to kind of promote one good stem. And so let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to pick the nicest looking stem. I'm cutting it real low to the origin right here. Okay, this is it. This is my plant. Now this one is very reminiscent of like a, and I'm going to cut it. Actually, I'm going to cut it. Well, no, I'm going to leave it there. I think that may have the right type of bark to generate roots, so I'm gonna leave it there. This reminds me of mimosa tree or cassia. It's a pinnate leaf. It's a compound leaf, and it's called a pinnate leaf. So that was with rooting powder. Let's go ahead and do one without rooting powder now. Try to pick another good one here. Now a lot of these are coming off. I'm probably just gonna leave 2 or 3. Anyhow, never cut towards yourself with a knife, but I just did because I'm just like that. But I didn't cut myself, so it's all cool. See, I can't get in trouble if you don't mess up. You got to know the rules to break the rules, right? All right, so that one had the rooting powder. This one does not have the rooting powder on it. Let me make a good angled cut on that. All right, there's there's an angled cut on that. And this one has no rooting powder. All right, now I'm gonna do one more with this, gonna cast, because that's what I have left pot wise, and then I want to also do my Pawpaw Tree in my last pot here. So what I want to do with the next one is I want to find another stem, and I'm gonna actually scribe the bark back and put the rooting powder, because I saw somebody else do that, and I think it would be cool to see if maybe that's the most successful type. I don't know. We won't know until we do it. Here we go. We'll take that off. Take one more of these stems off. And this species may not be tolerant. It may not actually do this. It may just be a fluke that it regenerated. The tree may be confused. So I've severed it off. Now I'm going to literally take all of the bark off like this, down to a nice white sapwood. That's all I'm going to do, just like that. And this is similar to some grafting techniques I've seen too. So there, we're down to the sapwood now. So I have all of the bark peeled off to expose a nice white stem. And we're going to dip that in rooting compound right here. And because it's so moist, it's going to retain a lot of that rooting compound. And we're going to pre-do the hole, stick it in the dirt, and that's a whole nother experiment. Now last but not least, the Pawpaw Tree here. This is what I had. The person had a landscape backyard. This tree, it's got a lot of flaws already. They had a landscape backyard with landscaped cloth on the ground. And this Pawpaw Tree struggled for a long time to get up through the actual landscape cloth. And what it did was it hit it, it spiraled around because it seeks an opening to get through, and it looks like it spiraled around. So I'll follow it in my head. It goes like this: spiraled, 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 did a crazy twist, spiraled again, and got over here, and then it actually was able to penetrate through the landscaping cloth and made it out. This tree is a living, surviving tree. I mean, being an endangered species, it's cool to see that this tree has found a way to make it out of that adverse conditions. Then I dug it out with my hands because I didn't have a shovel, and it was going to die. When I did that, severed the main root. There's no lateral roots. There are no small fibrous roots. So I don't know what this tree's going to do, but I really care a lot about this tree. Hey, there's a big old bug flying in front of the camera. I care a lot about this tree because of its importance and its rarity, and it's a fruit tree. So I mean, who doesn't like fruit trees, right? So we're going to put a decent amount of root tone on this one. I'm going to dump it. It's not going to fit. It might fit in there. Here we go. And I'm just going to hope that this is going to take. That is a lot of root tone. We got the whole entire thing. It looks like a Q-tip now with root tone. Now I'm going to dig this dirt back, soil, potting soil, medium, whatever you want to call it. Dig it back, set it into the medium. And this is just the first step, y'all. This is to see if they're gonna make it. This is an experiment. It's you know, it might not be 100% ideal for all conditions or all species of trees, but I'm gonna try these experiments in this setup. Everything's the same, a very uniform system. Water that's left over from the Pawpaw Tree, I'll go ahead and get the roots wet on all these trees. And that's it. That's the experiment. Y'all be sure you subscribe to this channel, and I'll post the update video. And when I'm done with the update video on these trees, I will post the link at the end of the video. I'll put another reminder in there when I do it, because I want to do one more thing here. I want to plant this whole log in the ground. Alright, so we got the hole dug over here. And we're going to take the whole log and we're going to stick it right in the hole. And we're going to bury it back. And that is what I'm left with right there. Atrilobium, sarcocarpum in the dirt. There you go. And then I'll be done with all the experiments that I can give y'all a follow-up with later. So I'm just wetting them in, getting the soil nice and moist. I'm going to keep the soil moist, because with 97 degrees, record-setting heat, the soil has to stay moist. It'll dry out, especially being in. Oh, those are pretty
I
cool.
have the stuff to make them too.